noticed a big difference between, say, a Past Labs X150.5, which I own, to these amplifiers. Of course, there's a bit of a price difference, but it was nice to see such a big improvement. I also observed that the whole presentation was airier, and especially around voices and groups of instruments in a orchestra. I used Rachmaninoff's symphonic dances off of reference recordings, and I love those tracks to begin with, and they really, to me, they can really show the weaknesses in the system. They can show different attributes in the system, and playing them back through the Past Labs XA100.5s, they really let me hear the spaciousness that these amplifiers were able to provide, and the airiness and the overall soundstage pinpointing accuracy that's embedded in that recording was really able to shine through these amplifiers, and I was able to hear a nice welcoming improvement over my own amplifier. Another thing that I observed with the past XA100.5s was that even though through technical terms they have 100 less watts into 4 ohms than my past X150.5, the past X150.5 is 300 watts into 4 ohms, the XA100.5s in front of you have 200 into 4 ohms. That by no means leaned toward the X150.5 sounding like it had more power. It was actually the opposite. The XA100.5s sounded like they had more power. They sounded like they had more headroom. Actually, when I was playing loud passages, for instance, in the Rachmaninoff symphonic dances, there seemed to be more there. There was no strain. There was no hint of strain. There was no little alarm going off in my head saying, oh, you know what, I can't play these loudly, they sound like they might be reaching their peak or whatever. It was just very composed. They really sound like they had more power than the higher spec X150.5. So that was awesome. Also, the timbre of musical instruments. I like using a track from a CD called Passion Argentina. It features a Argentinian opera singer and a cello octet, and I really use that CD for timbral richness because I love hearing those cellos with their full-bodied sound, kind of like what I would hear at the Walt Disney Concert Hall. And these past Laboratories XA100.5s really were able to show me a little bit more timbral richness than what I'm accustomed to with my X150.5. And that was really welcoming. Also, of course, the airiness of the amplifiers aided for that voice to be even more isolated, and the cellos were placed in their exact positions on the stage, of course with their full-bodied timbres, which was it was pretty amazing. Really like listening to that track. It was almost like listening it for the first time again. The bass frequencies, although the Magnepan 1.7s roll off roughly after 40 Hertz, I was able to detect a little bit more accuracy in the lower end, of course, a little bit tighter, a little bit more defined. And that's, of course, is another bonus. So overall, the amplifiers brought more to the table in terms of overall sonic coherency, refinement, balance, separation, the awesome soundstage that they produce. Of course, that's a big plus from the monoblock design. Every favorite piece of music that I played benefited from these features, from these sonic features, and really that led me to want to listen to more music and more music and more music. They were really able to pull me into that musical performance, unlike any other amplifier I've had in my listening room. So for all those factors, these amplifiers truly proved to be amazing, amazing performers. So how are the XA100.5s different, or how do they compare rather to the competition? Well, I was only able to identify differences, not really negatives or downsides. One of my observations was they're not, in technical terms, fast amplifiers. They're not fast. They don't have the speed of, say, a solution amplifier or a spectral amplifier. Those amplifiers sound a little bit leaner. They don't sound as full in timbre or as rich as these amplifiers do, but they're faster. They have a little bit faster dynamic swings. They have a little bit faster, more immediate, more transient, faster transient sound than the past XA100.5s. But again, this, to me, that's not a negative, it's a difference. And again, Spectrals, their monoblock amplifiers are right in this price range. Solution, although I'm relating them just because of that fast factor, they're a little bit higher up in the price spectrum. So the past Laboratories XA100.5s were terrific sounding amplifiers.